Listen carefully. What I'm about to reveal has been hidden in the ancient Hebrew texts for over 3,000 years. A single line. 7 words. Whispered at the exact moment the sun breaks the horizon. And it has the power to shatter every invisible chain holding you back right now. I've watched billionaires use it. I've seen broken families restored by it. I've witnessed people trapped in decades of failure suddenly break free in 30 days. Not because of luck. Not because of motivation. But because they learned to speak directly to the unseen forces that have been silencing their destiny. You see, most people don't even know they're limited. They think their struggles are normal. They believe their financial ceiling is just how life is. They accept the anxiety, the fear, the feeling that something is blocking them, but they can't see what it is. That's the most dangerous prison of all. The silent limitation, the invisible wall, the curse you inherit without knowing its name. But there's a reason the sun rises every single day. There's a reason the Torah commands us to greet the dawn with specific words. Because sunrise isn't just a time. It's a portal. A crack in the spiritual atmosphere. And if you know the ancient Hebrew line to whisper in that moment, you can break through limitations that have silenced your family for generations. Today I'm going to show you exactly how. But first, let me ask you something that will reveal everything. What is the one thing you've tried to achieve over and over? But no matter how hard you work, no matter how much you pray, no matter how much you believe, it stays just out of reach? Is it wealth? Is it peace in your home? Is it freedom from fear? Is it the respect you deserve? Is it the breakthrough you've been promised? If you feel that right now, that ache in your chest, that frustration that whispers, "Why not me?" then you're about to understand why. And more importantly, you're about to break free. Before we go deeper, I want you to do something. Subscribe to this channel right now. Not for me, for you, because what you're about to learn will change your life, and you'll want to come back to this wisdom again and again. This is a community of people who are done living small, done accepting limits, done being silent when heaven has called them to roar. Join us. We're waiting for you. Let me take you back to the mountains of Sinai. Back to the moment Moses stood before the burning bush, trembling, afraid, feeling completely inadequate for the task God had just given him. Moses had a silent limitation. He stuttered. He couldn't speak clearly. And God was asking him to confront Pharaoh, the most powerful man on earth, and demand the freedom of an entire nation. Moses said, "Who am I? I can't do this. My words fail me." And God didn't argue. God didn't give him a motivational speech. Instead, God taught him something that would echo through eternity. Ehyeh Asher Ehyeh. I am who I am. But here's what they don't teach you. This wasn't just God's name. It was a key, a vibrational code, a declaration that shatters the lies of limitation. Because Moses' limitation wasn't his stutter. It was his belief that his voice didn't matter, that he wasn't enough, that he was disqualified. The moment Moses spoke that line at sunrise, before confronting Pharaoh, everything changed. Not because his stutter disappeared, but because the silent limitation, the one in his mind, in his spirit, in the atmosphere around him, broke. The ancient rabbis knew this. They taught that every human being inherits silent limitations, curses that don't announce themselves, blocks that hide in the shadows of your family line, your childhood trauma, your repeated failures. But they also taught this. The sunrise is when heaven listens closest. Why? Because in Kabbalah, the dawn represents chesed, divine mercy. It's the moment when God's compassion floods the earth, the exact time when your whispered prayer can bypass every demonic interference, every doubt, every wall. And there's a specific Hebrew line rooted in Psalm 35 that when whispered at this sacred moment activates a spiritual explosion. Here's what you need to understand. Your life is not random. Every limitation you face has a spiritual root. And most of them are silent. They don't scream. They don't announce themselves. They just block you. Quietly. Relentlessly. The Talmud says, words spoken at dawn have the power to rewrite destinies. Why? Because in the mystical tradition, nighttime is when the forces of din, judgment, harshness, limitation, rule. But sunrise? Sunrise is when chesed, mercy, abundance, expansion, takes over. It's a changing of the guard, a moment when the spiritual atmosphere is soft, when heaven is listening, when your voice carries weight it doesn't have at any other time. But here's the key. You have to speak the right words. Not just any prayer, not just gratitude, but a specific declaration that targets the silent limitations in your life. A line that announces to every unseen force, your time is over, my breakthrough begins now. And that line is this: Ba'erev yalin bechi, v'labokar rina. In English, weeping may tarry for the night, but joy comes in the morning. But joy comes in the morning. But don't just read it, don't just translate it. Feel it. This is a war cry, a declaration that no matter what has silenced you, no matter what has limited you, no matter how long you've been stuck, morning is coming, and with it, your joy, your breakthrough, your freedom. The word Rina doesn't just mean joy. In Hebrew, it means a shout of victory, a roar, a sound that breaks chains. The ancient mystics taught that every silent limitation is held in place by a spiritual frequency, a low vibration, fear, shame, doubt, hopelessness. These emotions create energetic walls around your destiny. But Rina, the shout of joy, vibrates at a frequency so high that it shatters those walls. When you whisper this line at sunrise, you're not just praying, you're tuning your spirit to the frequency of breakthrough. You're aligning yourself with the divine mercy that floods the earth at dawn. You're speaking into existence what heaven has already prepared for you. In Torah, God created light on the first day, but he didn't create the sun until the fourth day. Why? Because there's a difference between light and the sun. The sun is physical, but the original light? That was spiritual. That was divine consciousness. And every morning when the sun rises, a tiny piece of that original light breaks through. The rabbis called this, or Haganuz, the hidden light, the light Adam saw in the Garden of Eden, the light that reveals truth, the light that exposes lies, the light that breaks limitations. When you whisper the Hebrew line at sunrise, you're tapping into that original light. You're asking heaven to expose every silent limitation and burn it away. Let me tell you what's really holding you back. Not the obvious things, the silent things. You didn't choose this. Your father had it. His father had it. Maybe even further back. It's a fear of success, a fear of being seen, a fear that if you rise too high, something terrible will happen. It doesn't feel like fear. It feels like being realistic. It feels like playing it safe. But it's a curse, and it's been whispering to you your whole life. Don't try. You'll fail anyway. Something happened, maybe when you were young, maybe last year, and you've never fully forgiven yourself. You carry it, quietly, and every time you try to move forward, that shame whispers, you don't deserve this. You're not worthy. It's not loud, it's not obvious, but it's there, and it's choking your destiny. This is the most dangerous one. Somewhere along the way, you made an agreement with limitation. Maybe you said, I'll never be wealthy. Maybe you said, love isn't for people like me. Maybe you said, this is just my life. And heaven heard you. And heaven said, okay, if that's what you choose. You don't even remember saying it, but it's been running in the background of your life like a program. And it's been blocking everything. When you whisper, Ba'erev yalin bechi v'laboka rina at sunrise, here's what happens spiritually. You break inherited fear because you're declaring that what came before, the night, the weeping, the generations of struggle, does not define what comes next. Morning is coming, and with it, a new story. You break silent shame because joy, Rina, is the opposite of shame. Shame makes you hide. Joy makes you roar. When you speak this line, you're choosing to believe that heaven has already forgiven you, that you are worthy, that your past does not disqualify your future. You break invisible agreements because you're making a new agreement. You're saying, I no longer accept limitation. I accept joy. I accept breakthrough. I accept victory. And heaven honors that, the man who couldn't provide. There was a man I met in Jerusalem, a father of 4. He worked 3 jobs. He prayed constantly. But no matter what he did, he stayed poor. Not just poor, trapped. Every time he got close to a breakthrough, something would collapse. A deal would fall through. An opportunity would disappear. He came to me exhausted, broken. He said, Rabbi, I don't understand. I'm a good man. I work hard. I pray. Why am I cursed? I looked at him and said, you're not cursed. You're silenced. I taught him the sunrise declaration. I told him, every morning, Before the sun fully rises, stand outside. Face east. Whisper the line. And mean it. He did it. For 30 days. Every single morning. On day 12, he got a phone call. A business partner he hadn't spoken to in 5 years. An offer. A legitimate, life-changing offer. On day 23, his wife told him she felt peace for the first time in a decade. On day 30, he called me weeping, not from sadness, from joy. He said, "Rabbi, I don't know what broke, but something did. I feel free." That's the power of breaking silent limitations. The woman who couldn't love herself. I received a message from a woman in Brazil. She was successful, beautiful, accomplished. But inside, she felt empty. She said, "I look in the mirror and I see a stranger. I've achieved everything I was supposed to, but I don't feel worthy of any of it." Silent shame, the most painful kind. I asked her, "When did you stop believing you were enough?" She broke down. A memory. Childhood. A moment she'd buried for 30 years. I said, "Listen to me. That moment doesn't get to define you anymore. You're going to break it. At sunrise, every morning, whisper the Hebrew line, and let heaven remind you who you really are." She started. The first week, she said it felt awkward. The second week, she said she started crying during the declaration. Not sad tears. Release tears. By week 4, she sent me a voice message. She was laughing. She said, "Rabbi, I woke up today and for the first time in my life, I loved myself. I actually loved myself. I don't know how to explain it, but something broke." That's what happens when you break silent shame. You become free to receive the love heaven has always had for you. The child who lived in fear. A family came to me. Their 9-year-old son had nightmares every night. Panic attacks, fear of the dark, fear of being alone. Doctors couldn't help. Therapy wasn't working. The mother was desperate. She said, "Rabbi, my son is terrified of life. What do I do?" I asked her, "Is there trauma in your family line? Anything from the past?" She froze. Then she told me, her grandfather survived the Holocaust. He never spoke about it, but the fear, it lived in the family, silently, invisibly. I said, "Your son is carrying something that isn't his, but we're going to break it." I taught her the sunrise declaration. I said, "Every morning you and your son stand together, face the rising sun. Whisper the Hebrew line as a family. Let him hear your voice declare victory over the night." They did it, together, mother, father, and son. Within 2 weeks, the nightmares stopped. Within a month, the child was laughing again, playing, free. The mother called me sobbing. She said, "Rabbi, you gave my son his childhood back." That's the power of breaking generational silent limitations. But Rabbi, I don't speak Hebrew. Will it still work? Yes, because heaven doesn't hear your accent. Heaven hears your heart. Learn the pronunciation. Say it slowly. Say it with intention. Even if you stumble over the words, if your spirit is sincere, the declaration is heard. But I'll also tell you this, the Hebrew language carries a frequency. It's the language of creation. When you speak it, even imperfectly, something shifts in the spiritual realm. So don't let fear stop you. Start. Stumble if you need to. Heaven will meet you there. What if I've tried everything and nothing works? Why would this be different? Because you've been fighting the symptoms, not the root. You've tried harder work. You've tried positive thinking. You've tried manifestation. But none of those address the silent limitations, the invisible agreements, the inherited fears, the buried shame. This isn't about trying harder. This is about breaking the chains that have been holding you back. And you can't break what you can't see. That's why sunrise matters. That's why the Hebrew line matters. Because it exposes what's been hidden and destroys it. What if I'm not spiritual enough? What if I don't deserve this? That thought right there, that's the silent limitation talking. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be a scholar. You don't have to have it all figured out. Moses stuttered. David was a shepherd. Esther was an orphan, and yet heaven chose them. Not because they were perfect, but because they were willing. All heaven asks is that you show up. Whisper the line. Believe that morning is coming, and let the rest unfold. Now let me give you something deeper. Something the ancient Kabbalists only taught to their closest students. The 72 names of God and the sunrise portal. In Kabbalah, there are 72 sacred names of God hidden in the book of Exodus. Each one is a key to a specific spiritual door. And one of them, Memhe Shin, MH, is called the Breaker of Limitations. When you whisper the sunrise declaration, if you want to go deeper, add this. Before you say the Hebrew line, close your eyes and visualize the letters MH glowing in golden light above you. Then whisper, by the power of your name, break every silent limitation in my life. Then speak the full declaration. By Rev Yalin Bechi, Valaboka Rina. This is advanced. This is for those who are ready to go to war against every invisible enemy. And I promise you, when you do this, you will feel the shift. Here's your challenge, and I want you to take it seriously. For the next 30 days, wake up before sunrise, set your alarm, get outside if you can. If not, stand by a window facing east. Whisper the Hebrew line as the sun rises. Ba'erev Yalin Bechi, Valaboka Rina. Say it 3 times, slowly, with intention. Declare one limitation you're breaking. Say it out loud. I break the limitation of poverty. I break the limitation of fear. I break the limitation of unworthiness. Journal what happens. Write down the shifts, the signs, the breakthroughs. Heaven will speak to you in unexpected ways. Do this for 30 days. No exceptions, no excuses. And watch what breaks. My dear soul, I want you to know something. Heaven has been waiting for you to wake up, not just physically, spiritually. You were born for more than survival. You were born for victory, for joy, for freedom. And every silent limitation that has held you back, every fear, every shame, every invisible agreement, it ends now. The sun will rise tomorrow, and when it does, I want you to be standing there, ready, awake, declaring your freedom, because weeping may tarry for the night, but joy, your joy, comes in the morning. May heaven break every chain around you. May the light of the original creation flood your life. May every silent limitation shatter like glass, and may you walk in the fullness of the destiny that has always been yours. You are not forgotten. You are not disqualified. You are not too late. You are exactly where you need to be, and your breakthrough is already on its way. Shalom.